Hello everyone, today we are going to have a look at the pointless top 10 Darkmoon Faire Oddities. Like, there's some things in Darkmoon Faire that are sometimes being overlooked, and yeah, let's have a look at those.
Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Pointless Top 10, a show where we make top 10 lists of pointless things. Why are we flying by this pointless statue in Booty Bay? Because inside pointless things are treasure. Let's begin. 10. Number 10 is the art at the Darkmoon Faire, and the art at the Darkmoon Faire is really cool. Like, it has some old Renaissance style wall paintings. It's got
a son with
the
a
big
face
King Kong gorilla man who's like eating a unicorn. It's got brutal. The actual Darkmoon Faire poster, which is pretty high definition quality, to be honest. They just put it on a tree for some reason as well.
1 second, if I'm not mistaken, there's one painting or something, and I've only noticed it this Darkmoon Faire, right? There's like this one where like an eye is actually like following you. There's like something, there's like the eye is actually moving. Or was it at this one gate there? And this creeped me out because like the first time I was there, I didn't see it. The second time I didn't see it, but then I came back and back and back and back. And then I suddenly realized, oh, there's like an eye that's like freaking moving. So creepy.
Put it on that tree. But I mean, if you really like the sun and the moon there, you can really see it. It's just really unique. Like, it's not something you see anywhere else in the game, which I think is really cool. And obviously, you can only go to the Darkmoon Faire, you know, a week out of the month, right? So there's only so many times you can go to the Darkmoon Faire and really appreciate everything here. There's the art seller or vendor. I don't remember what they are, but they got a bunch of art in the background, like really high quality paintings. Like, there's the undead hand rocking out over there.
That's cool.
There's this guy getting blasted out of a cannon. Like, there really is some cool, unique art at the Darkmoon Faire. And it was just cool going around and appreciating a lot of the art that you just glance over when you're trying to, you know, get your tickets or prizes or do whatever you're doing here and get out.
Oh, that's the band.
Is number 10. 9. Number 9 is the Darkmoon Faire roller coaster, which actually has more lore than I thought it would, to be honest.
Really?
The Darkmoon Faire roller coaster is designed by these goblins that are arguing with each other about how it's going backwards. They're like, it's supposed to go.
You know what? I would never ride a roller coaster designed by goblins. Like, there's no safety guarantee here. Like, if it was done by gnomes, yeah, I would drive it. But done by goblins? There is no way you would ever get me into a roller coaster designed by a freaking goblin. Like, they're smart, but when it comes like safety, no, it's not safe. The gnomes at least are a little bit more careful.
Arguing with each other about how it's going backwards. They're like, it's supposed to go the other way. And he's like, you kidding me?
That's why I'm not getting it.
God, no, it's going the right way. And then she's like, no, I think it should go the other way. And he's like, no, there's no way. This is the way it goes. And then she's like, hey, maybe you should get Penny to help. And then he's like, Penny gave up on the family business forever ago. She's not gonna do anything. There's also a, I guess, beta tester of the roller coaster right there. You can see didn't have a good time.
It wasn't safe.
They never really cleaned up after that. They also got a little hideout back here where apparently they've just been drinking or whatever they're doing. There's a bunch of empty bottles, but somebody's back here doing something.
It looks like they were not sober while designing this, so that's why it's going probably backwards. And you know, it's like interesting here. I've actually not seen this, but where is this? Is this like right behind it or on the side? Like, it's at the end of this month, it's again, right? Like, Darkmoon Faire is coming back in like what? In like 1 week or so, right? Just yeah, like a week or so. And then I'm actually going back there and I'm going to have a look at this.
Also, this is called the Gryvern roller coaster because you can either ride on the Griffin or the Wyvern. So, you know, you got options.
That's like
and you get the Wii buff if you complete a ride, which is the rep and experience buff. So
I never did a ride.
I'm glad that they added the roller coaster to the Darkmoon Faire, and I'm glad they added that little bit of goblin lore as well. So that's why the roller coaster
is number 9. She's holding a hat.
8. Number 8 is the Darkmoon Rabbit, and the Darkmoon Rabbit is a boss rabbit at the Darkmoon Island Cave on Darkmoon Island.
That eats
and
meat.
According to Wowpedia, it originally dropped 1 Darkmoon Rabbit per raid, but after Warlords of Draenor was released due to too many ninja loot raid leaders, combined with the rabbit's long spawn timer during a limited event, the loot rule was changed to personal loot only. If a player cannot loot the corpse, then that person did not have the pet drop for them. And the Darkmoon Rabbit is also a reference to the Killer Rabbit in Monty Python and the Holy Grail. And as you can probably tell, the rabbit was not up when the Darkmoon Faire was currently going on, and I did not see it, but there you go.
I saw it once, but I got no drop.
I am able to show you the rabbit. There it is, truly.
I only got it
you
once.
Probably didn't even know this was not in-game footage. That's crazy. So overall, it's just a fun reference, a fun limited time raid boss, and
I need the
that's
pet.
why the Darkmoon Rabbit is number 8. 7. Number 7 is the Cavern of Lament, and the Cavern of Lament is beneath the sunken ship off the eastern shore of the Darkmoon Island, and there are several Aaron-S there. I think that's how you say it.
I was
have no
never
idea.
there before.
But they are fell blood elves, and when you kill one of these fell blood elves, they drop a ring of broken promises. You can also see there's some crazy contraption over there. And the ring says, this item begins a quest. Deep gash marks indicate that whatever once wore this ring tried in vain to remove it. And the description says, a heavily scratched ring, faintly stained with blood. Someone...
You know what's like interesting about those? If you look at them, they look like the early design for demon hunters, right? Like they look like Blood Elf demon hunters, like an early model. Maybe they actually used the early Demon Hunter model for this. Like, this is such a unique model. You don't have anything in-game that looks like that. Like, if you look at them, you would think, oh, that's like for maybe like TBC or something, right? Like around TBC time. But I don't remember seeing those in TBC. They have like a unique model, right?
Whatever once wore this ring tried in vain to remove it. And the description says, a heavily scratched ring, faintly stained with blood. Someone at the Darkmoon Faire might be able to provide more information about this item.
That's
so
horrible.
You take it to Chester, who is this creepy looking man in a top hat, and apparently he might be a reference to a Dark Souls character named Marvelous Chester. But either way, you give him the ring and he says, ah, I see you found my lovelies. Beautiful, aren't they? It's a shame that the process drives them so insane.
That is
the ring
crazy.
is yours to
A
keep,
Death
of
Knight
course.
that's
Can you
using
hear them
fel
whisper?
magic?
Marvelous. So yeah, that shit's messed up. And that's why it's number 7. 6. Number 6 is kind of a combination between the shipwrecks and the Darkmoon Island itself. So if you look around the Darkmoon Island, there's a bunch of shipwrecks, which leads you to think, why are all these shipwrecks happening, right? It's a lot of shipwrecks. Once they get to the Darkmoon Island, it's just like,
this is a cursed island.
They crash and nobody ends up getting here. It's a little freaky.
There are like some theories, some crazy theories actually out there that Darkmoon has something to do with like old gods, right? And Silas Darkmoon, like he's like freaking possessed by an old god and stuff. Like there's some void and old gods theories. There are like even other theories that some are like possessed by demons. I guess actually crazy. So I when I was like looking more into like what is actually a Darkmoon Faire and stuff, and there were like some crazy posts on Reddit. There are some lore videos also by Noble and others. Some are claiming that there might be some connection with the void and stuff, right? So maybe Silas is like possessed or something. Some say he's like an old god, maybe in disguise. So it's interesting.
Once they get to the Darkmoon Island, it's just like bloop, and then they crash and nobody ends up getting here. It's a little freaky. But when you read into the Darkmoon Island and how it came about, because the Darkmoon Faire used to just be a thing that traveled around and showed up every once in a while, right? And then they got their own island in patch 4.3. So if you read the patch notes, it says, out with the old and in with the new. New quest, that is. Things have changed around here. We got an island all to ourselves now, and what an island it is. Mist-shrouded Darkmoon Island is a conundrum wrapped in an enigma. It's a place of mystery and wonder, and you wouldn't believe the deals we made to get it.
It looks like a Forsaken Zone.
So that's a little interesting, right? There's also speculation of where it's actually located. Some people say they don't even think it's on the map, but when you're in the water, it says you're in the Great Sea. So I feel like you are in Azeroth. The most likely theory I read is it's below Northrend and above the Broken Isles, because a lot of the fish seem like Northrend fish, and then there's a Tuskar that'll show up every once in a while. So I was like, yeah, that seems plausible. But really, we don't know. I really do love the mystery of all this, and we're going to get a bit more into the mystery of all of it because it's pretty crazy. So that's why the Darkmoon Island and the shipwrecks are number 6.
You know what I always thought, this is like my theory, that actually Darkmoon, the Darkmoon Island, is not too far from Tirisfal. Because there's also this one location. You're right, actually if you walk out of Defner, right, and you start as an undead, and if instead of going the right to the Undercity, you take the left, there's like a beach, right? I forgot the name of this beach, but there's also some Scarlet Crusade tower, right? And I always thought this is somewhere maybe in this location. It could be, right? Because it's like always night there. Even if you're there daytime, it looks like night. And the only places I can like remember that are kind of like this is Tirisfal, for example, right? Because it's always there dark. Okay, you could say Deadwing Pass, kind of. Okay, that's also kind of like that. But I don't think there's no connection to the sea there, right? And all the other zones around it, they are bright. So it can actually, from like environment, only be like somewhere close to Tirisfal, I believe. Because there could be still some curse or something from the Scourge attack, and that's why it's always dark there. It looks like some Halloween or Forsaken style sort of island to me.
5. Number 5 is the Darkmoon Faire Petting Zoo, and the petting zoo is run by Yeb Nebelgear, and he's a gnome that says, "Welcome, welcome to Yeb Nebelgear's Darkmoon Zoo Bazaar.
Always
a
funny
trove
names.
of living legends and mythical oddities. Enjoy your visit, friend. But be mindful of what you touch. These exhibits hold artifacts and beasts, both dire and divine. They might burn the wayward hand of an over-curious onlooker. There's quite a lot to see, so look, and perhaps one day even more will be revealed to you." Which, I don't know why he says that. That's adding more fuel to the fire of the mystery of this place, but it's
Maybe it
got
gets an update
giraffes,
soon.
it's got hydras, it's got lions, it's got elephants, it's got basilisks that have frozen some carny workers, it's got the big King Kong gorilla we saw in the art earlier. It's got a whole bunch of animals, but I think my favorite part of the petting zoo is this one area where people keep showing up and they're like, "Hey, are you the tour guide?" Or like, "Where's the tour guide?" Like, "What is this?" And they're essentially just part of the exhibit.
You're not Tuska.
And it just keeps rotating who is there. There's like Gorlocks, there's an Arakoa guy, there's the Tuskar we were actually just talking about earlier. It's pretty funny and also a little messed up at the same time. But isn't that just the entire Darkmoon Faire at this point? But either way, it's fun.
But they are weird because, like, look at this. They can easily escape from here. Why are they waiting here? They could just walk out anytime. Like, look at this. It just jumps slightly or climbs up. There's, like, not even electricity or anything. And I would probably leave where the rope is. Or you just crawl under it or something, right?
Essentially just part of the exhibit. And it just keeps rotating who is there. There's like Gorlocks, there's an Arakoa guy, there's the Tuskar we were actually just talking about earlier. Oh, they're always new ones, right? It's pretty funny and also a little messed up at the same time. But isn't that just the entire Darkmoon Faire at this point? But either way, it's fun to walk around the petting zoo, see some references, see some goofy stuff, and that's why it's number 5. 4. Number 4 is the latest addition to the Darkmoon Faire, which is the Warlock quest line. And you talk to Assistant Phineas, and he's like, "Yo, get on this carriage, we're going." And he just books it straight to the Darkmoon Faire, and you're just like, "What?" And before you know it, there you are. You're at the Darkmoon Faire, but it's a little bit different this time around. There's not really many people here. In fact, everybody here is just a demon or some sort of warlock. There's actually this little imp guy, and he's shooting off fell fireworks, or his own version of fell fireworks, I guess. There's actually a guy waiting in line to use the outhouse, and he's like, "Are you saying I'm not supposed to be here?" And then he's like, "All right, I got to get out of here." So he actually isn't supposed to be there, and he hearts out. There's a couple of kissing booths, just...
What the heck?
With a bunch of imps waiting to partake in the kissing booths. The carousel has also been turned into some sort of torture device where these cultists are all tied up or, you know, magically tied up essentially.
Yeah,
but yeah, this entire quest chain is pretty crazy. It pretty much just solidifies that the Darkmoon Faire is crazy, demonic, got some old god stuff going on, and I'm not going to spoil any Darkmoon Faire questline stuff if you haven't done it, but you should do it if you got a warlock. It's wild. So that's why the Darkmoon Faire questline is number 4. 3.
But one thing I never understood about this warlock questline is I think Lady Shadow was her name, right? How did she get access and to use the Darkmoon Faire like that? Because doesn't she need like permission from the staff there to use this? Like, why did they trust her? I don't want to spoiler too much for you guys that haven't done this on the Warlock, so I'm not gonna say much, but you should really do the quest line, and there's like some big mystery about this Lady Shadow, like this Forsaken Warlock trainer. Just do it and you will see. And then after this, you will actually question and wonder how come she had access to this place and was granted the permission to actually bring warlocks over for some practice and stuff. So yeah, this never made any sense because there's no explanation why she's at the Darkmoon Faire. And this confused me because I don't remember there being demons everywhere during the regular Darkmoon events, right? So that was kind of strange. Like, from all places, I never understood why they picked this for the Warlock quest. Like, I would have expected the Burning Steps or near to the portal to the Outlands, that somewhere there it would be, right? Like the Burning Steps, for example. Even maybe in TBC, somewhere in, like, in the Outlands, I would have expected there to be the quest like for the Warlock. So it was kind of strange that it was at the Darkmoon Faire, and I don't even understand how she got permission to be there.
You should do it if you got a Warlock. It's wild. So that's why the Darkmoon Faire quest line is number 4. 3. Number 3 is Silas Darkmoon, the little gnome that drives around in his rocket ship with his ogre bodyguard. And Silas Darkmoon has some very mysterious lore in his past, or I guess lack of lore. So there are numerous theories and kind of speculations about Silas Darkmoon. One of them is that he's very old, possibly older than 1,200 years old. A ghost who claims he met Silas when he was a child was from Strom.
Silas is an old god, some
and it
say.
hasn't
Or he's
existed for over
corrupted.
1,200 years. Therefore, the child is more than 1,200 years old when he met Silas. The same person that mentions this also says that there's a missing old god. So there's rumors that Silas Darkmoon is actually the 5th old god.
Yeah.
Because there are many old god references all around here.
Exactly.
Then there's also theories where he's actually a Twilight cultist. And a fun little fact, patch 4.3, when the Darkmoon Island was added in, was the Hour of Twilight. So that would also tie in a bit with the Twilight cultist theory. But Silas Darkmoon is either some sort of old god prophet, an old god, or just some guy that made a deal with the old gods. Like, I think it's one of those three. I really do. There's too many weird old god, dark theme references and everything around the Darkmoon Faire, but I actually don't really want to know. I don't mind if they get a little more into it and give us some more hints and clues.
Yes,
but
please.
I always loved that the old gods were a very mysterious thing. And I love the fact that this is also a very mysterious place.
You know what I actually hate? That the Shadowlands ever were released or came out. Because before the Shadowlands, I was always kind of like questioning, how is the afterlife? Is it different for different races and stuff like that? Like, the afterlife was so interesting to me until we saw the Shadowlands, and the afterlife looks just like the normal life on Azeroth, but you just change your look. You become either a blue person or you become some sort of flesh golem thingy or skeleton-like being, and it was kind of like strange, right? Like, you have those zones. You have Madraxus, then you have freaking Ardenweird, where you become some animal creature, and you have like the other zones with like the Venthyr and this and that. It was kind of so strange, and it kind of killed the imagination that players had about the afterlife in the Warcraft franchise. Because now each time you play any Warcraft game and you see someone die, you know, oh, they're going to the Shadowlands. And the afterlife is now so boring and not mysterious. Like, revealing old gods or having someone like Scylla suddenly be revealed to be some old god or something. Like, this is not a problem. It's actually interesting if each couple of years, like, a new old god appears or some mystery gets lifted. Like, keep a mystery, wait for like 2 years or 3 years, and then just unveil it and just show it. Okay, this is this and this is that. He's actually evil. He's not a good guy or something. And then you introduce like a new person or something, right? Like, what is if Silas is, for example, an old god, and in one expansion, maybe next one, Voidlands, he's actually the raid boss and you have to kill him. And what happens with the Darkmoon Faire event? Actually, his assistant takes over or something. And then it turns out maybe some years later his assistant is actually the son of him or something. Yeah, I don't know. Like, there are like many ways to add some interesting story, keep a mystery up for a couple of years. But there are things that shouldn't be touched in some fantasy worlds, and I think the afterlife is one of them. That's why I think it was one of the biggest mistakes that they ever made, the Shadowlands. Not because it's a horrible expansion. I mean, it's not really the best expansion. But for me, it's just, it breaks the fantasy and imaginations that people have about the afterlife in Warcraft.
And Silas Darkmoon is mysterious in himself, right? The whole fair is mysterious. I think a lot of times lore is the most fun when things are left unsaid, right? Think of how many times you wonder about something in a show or a movie, and then you actually find out what it is, and you're like, oh, I guess that's cool. Or like, I think
yeah.
what I thought of was better. You know what I mean?
Yes,
so
yes.
I would like to know more about Silas Darkmoon, but I don't want to know too much. I don't want to know his whole story. But that's why Silas Darkmoon is number 3. Number 2 are the ghosts that wander the Darkmoon Faire Island, and these probably give us some of the best insight to the Darkmoon Faire's past. The first ghost is Brendan Paulson, and this is one that we mentioned earlier about the kid that Silas Darkmoon met at Strom pretty much 1,200 years ago. And he talks about running away from home. His father tried to kill him. He hates his family. And so he goes to the Darkmoon Faire. and sadly he dies. But the theories are Rona Greenteeth killed a lot of these ghosts. Cythera was looking for firewood when she saw something in the bushes and then blacked out, so that could have been Rona Greenteeth. Then we have Zazla, who's a troll that talks about surviving the shipwreck. So apparently, you know, the shipwrecks we mentioned earlier, this guy was one of the people that was on one of those ships, and he potentially got killed by Rona Greenteeth as well. Then we have Arlen Sherhoof, who talks...
What is if they were actually on the ship and they are all ghosts and Silas allowed them to stay on the island or something? So instead of killing them or using magic to get rid of them, he said, hey, you know what, you can stay here. So maybe they didn't die really on the island, but from like maybe the shipwreck or something. Were there not some theories that that actually the people from the Darkmoon Faire, that they actually are responsible for their demises? I don't know. Like it could be because of this show, right? There's like some hint that they could all be from the shipwrecks, and maybe after they died, they just turned into ghosts, and just Silas tolerates them there or something.
Of Arlen Sherhoof,
that's a theory
who talks about watching over the camp and not leaving the camp over and over again. And then we had Cup Coincare, who is a goblin that talks about having a bunch of debt, and then he repays it by working at the fair. But after getting tired of working at the fair and attempting to leave, he dies. Rona Greenteeth actually doesn't sell any goblin meats, so it's possible he just died to the wildlife or something like starvation. And I mean, overall here, it's really weird. Like, there's a cannibal killing a bunch of people out here in the wilderness. There's like crazy werewolves and stuff out in the wild.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
There's some weird shit in the forest, man. And so these ghosts are actually a really interesting part of the Darkmoon Faire lore that you can only see when you're dead. So that's why the ghosts...
Wait, only if you're dead you see them.
And number one is probably the most prominent part of the Darkmoon Faire, the eye. That's right, the eye that is constantly browsing and looming over the dark.
That's the one I mentioned at the beginning of this video. I said there was like this one thing, and this was this eye, and it just started moving suddenly. I thought it was just a painting until I realized, oh, that's moving. And I actually missed it the first couple of times I was here.
Darkmoon Faire from various parts of the fair. Whether it's signs or balloons or artwork or whatever it might be. And out of all the clues, the eye is the one that really makes people believe that this is an old god fair. But the biggest mystery for a lot of people was which of the old gods was it, right? We had Cthulhu and Nazath as some likely options, but it appears that Yasharaj is that old god. He's actually the one whose heart is restored by Garrosh Hellscream and then transported to Orgrimmar's Underhold. And when Yasharaj died, its last terrible breath manifested as the 7 Prime Shah, which was anger, hatred, violence, fear, doubt, despair, and pride. So one of the theories that I talked about earlier was that the eye is made up of pure emotions, with this one being nothing else than the Shah of happiness. And even though this isn't canon Warcraft lore, in the comics, Silas Darkmoon is shown as an always smiling figure, feeling joy even when he buries a man alive without feeling any remorse.
What if the old guy's just half dead and he had like 2 eyes and he got like messed up in some battle, right? And he lost some parts of him, including the eye and maybe his heart, but somehow he can live without a heart or something. Like, what is if there's like some heavily injured old god that somehow still exists? Kind of like almost like an undead old god or something, and because of some energies left, he's like still there, but only at half his strength or something. And it's actually Silas or something. Yo, there are like crazy theories you could come up with.
But we do have this official Blizzard Hearthstone art that shows Yasharaj controlling what looks to be a fair. I would say out of all the lore that isn't canon, Hearthstone's probably going to be pretty close to what Blizzard's intending for. So no matter what it is, I think the eye is easily one of the most notorious parts of the Darkmoon Faire. It's the thing that everybody notices when they go to the Darkmoon Faire. And that's why the eye is number 1. Hey everybody, thanks for watching this episode of Pointless Top 10. Make sure...
Yo, this was interesting. But yeah, the Darkmoon Faire is like definitely, it could actually be my most favorite event in WoW, because it's so fun doing those kind of mini games. You have those cool races, right? And I also really like this one where you get like those fire wings and you're like flying through circles and stuff. It's kind of cool. But I do hate this dancing game, because I sometimes am doing so well, and then I mess up just one time. Like one time I press something wrong, and then I must do it again in order to get the Darkmoon tickets, just because of one mistake. It's not forgiving. So yeah, but the other mini games are fun. I also like this one with the tank. It's kind of cool how you have to like dodge the other tanks and then you shoot at targets and stuff. yeah, I really have fun at Darkmoon Faire, and I still need to get the mounts from there. I need to get this dancing bear, and I have to get the purple strider, so I will farm for this. And yeah, if you guys are new to this channel, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more content. If you guys enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give this one a thumbs up. And yeah, let me know in the comment section which WoW event is your favorite one. How do you feel about the Darkmoon Faire? Are you also having so much fun like me going there? I think those mini games are nice. Even the target shooting is kind of cool. And yeah, I will see you guys next time.